was the Devil Wears Prada like the thing that really put you on the map, or was there something before that?
I think so. I mean, even before the Devil Wears Prada, I was kind of on the like local map, like in the tri-state area. So I lived, like if this is Indiana, I kind of lived like here, which is like next to Ohio. So if you just shoot across like this, you get into a town called Oxford, which is where there's like a college there and there's like a community around there. And so there were a lot of local bands from Ohio coming over. There was some people coming up from Kentucky. I had some bands from Indiana. I had some bands from Illinois. And I was kind of conquering that little section of the Midwest. And even some bands from Michigan were coming down. And that was all by word of mouth. And it was just, you know, the works would speak for itself. We would
Yeah.
upload it. This was the thing that was kind of the rocket fuel for it all was MySpace. And the fact that MySpace was so simple, it was just PHP. It was like not complicated with algorithms and all this stuff. It was
Right.
just like you upload a track and boom, there it is.
And
Everybody
they would
can
let you spam the fuck out of everyone with bulletins.
spam it with bulletins and everybody can share it and play it and put on their top 8 and or whatever the hell it is. And so it was like in everyone's playlists and getting millions of plays. And so that was kind of how people found out about what it was. And you could even go to like a band. Let's say there was a band, a hardcore band that recorded a song with me and they put it up and they don't even talk about me or say anything. There would still be like those behind the scenes conversations where people would figure out that it was me essentially. And they would find my MySpace profile and then they would see, I think we wrote something on the front page that was just like, here's the email address that you need to contact if you want to work with us. And that all went to Craig. Craig was my manager.
Craig from Rise.
Yeah, Craig Erickson from Rise Records. Yep.
Right.
And that's a whole story. I don't know if you want me to tell that story, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, why not? I think people would like to hear that.
So when I started out, obviously I didn't have a manager. And then I did a couple projects that got on Craig's radar and one of them got signed. And then I did a couple more projects that were all on.
What was that first project?
I think the first one that was really on his radar was the Devil Wears Prada, and then
Okay.
then he signed them. So then it was like he was like their record label guy, and he was like kind of interacting with me, but at the same time I was like kind of interacting with the band directly. I didn't really have to go like through people at that particular time.
It's probably illegal for him to like represent the band and you.
I mean, it definitely got kind of strange towards
yeah, because he's negotiating against himself in a way.
Yeah, which is okay. You know,
yeah,
complaining. I ended up in a good spot, but there was some moments that were weird. But yeah, it was like that, and then it was like Before Their Eyes, and then there was like I don't know. There was a couple of other projects that I can't really remember. What is the nice Gwen Stacy.
mm-hmm.
And like Gwen Stacy were like the Devil Wears Prada's friends, right? So I do a Devil Wears Prada record. They get signed to Rise Records, and then the record comes out, and then they're friends with Gwen Stacy, and Gwen Stacy's looking for another place to maybe try and record. So they come record with me, and we do a song, and that's just how it worked. And then these bands would tour with each other, and there was even MySpace tours back in the day.
That's right.
MySpace Cafe and stuff
mm-hmm.
like that. And those bands would all talk to each other, and then that's how they would figure out, oh man, you got to work with Joey. Like his stuff sounds awesome. Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so long story short is that basically I did like 2 or 3 things for that was on Craig's radar. They were either signed to Craig or somebody that Craig knew or whatever. And so he kind of picked up on a pattern, and he was noticing that like it was all this Joey Sturgis kid from Connersville, Indiana. So he actually reached out to me and he was like, I want to be your manager. And I was like, hell no. I've only heard bad things about managers. And so no. And he was very persistent. And then we kind of came at a crossroads where I was like, all right, well, if you think you can do all this awesome stuff for me and get me like bands all the time, and you know, I'm going to be paying you for that essentially, then here is like my demands. And so I gave him like a list of things that I wanted to happen in my career. And believe it or not, he made every single thing on that list happen. And that is why I stuck with him for so long. He
I
actually
mean, the dude's a winner.
he did it pretty fast too. I was like, I want to do a Metal Blade album. I want to work with Adam D. I want to do this. I want to do that. It was just like within a matter of like 9 months, I was doing a Metal Blade album. In like a matter of a year and a half, I was working with Adam D on a project. It was just like, wow, okay, this is legit. And then the real big thing that he did for me was when the space that I was working out of, it was a garage. It was a garage of my friend's house in the back. It was detached. And I didn't own it. I had no rights to it whatsoever. I was just paying them $500 to essentially squat in this garage and do whatever I wanted to. And we kind of shared the space, but as I got busier and busier, like the space became unrealistic in the terms of like sharing it with them. Like they
Is this the space that's in like the Attack Attack studio videos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and they would want to like practice in there. They're like, "Oh, we have a real big like showcase coming up, and we want to practice, and we want to record." And I'd be like,
A showcase. That's right.
"Yeah." And I was like, "Sorry, guys, like I booked 6 months right now, every day. Like I don't know what you're gonna do." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, you don't have to pay us rent. Then we'll just we'll do our thing, and you won't have to pay us rent." And I'm like, that doesn't help.
No.
Like, I still got people showing up. Like they're gonna be here in like 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
can we wrap this up? Like, so yeah, basically I called Craig and I was like, bro, this is the first time in my life where I don't know what to do. And he's like, just buy a house. And I was like, what do you mean? Like buy a house? That's not in the realm of reality. And he's like, oh, I will just pay for it and you can pay me back. And I was like, what the fuck? So that's actually how it went. I literally called up a random realtor that I found on the internet and I met with them. We went and looked at 3 houses. I picked one. I called Craig. I was like, here's the house that I picked. And he's like, all right, cool. Get all the documents. So we got all the documents and signed it. He paid cash for it. And then it was my house. And it was just.
Was that your cabin house or a different one?
It was the one in Indiana, which is also in the Attack updates.
Okay.
That was in that weird transition period where I wasn't fully set up at the house.
Right.
So I was still like transitioning out of the studio at the garage. So you'll see in some of those updates, it's like some places we're in this like house with like gross purple carpet and weird wallpaper. Like I had to redo the whole house once I got it, by the way. And then you'll see that we're in like the garage. So like we're in the garage and like recording drums, and then we're at the like house with the purple carpet, just like we're just there to like sleep.
Right.
Because people used to have to sleep in the driveway. That's like how it went down for a long time. And then when I got the house, it was like 4 bedrooms with an attached garage that was like turned into like a interior, part of the house. It wasn't a garage anymore. It was like part of the house, an extra room. And that's where I ended up putting the studio, and everyone would sleep in the bedrooms. And it was actually kind of a perfect setup. And so that's how it kind of all